Hey gang, welcome back to the garage. Today we're going to do a quick cleanup on a little pocket knife that I found in a box of miscellaneous junk in the back of a garage full of old car mechanic tools and an estate sale in Pittsburgh. I like the pattern and the fact that the knife was in excellent condition. It locks up, still has nice snap, locks up tight. No chips or other major damage to it other than some surface rust. No wobble in the blade. Never did I expect to learn its rich history, though. So what I learned that I have here is a Camillus swayback jackknife with a single sheepfoot blade. It's a pattern 1944 Q5. So on the tang, on one side, there it is, 1944 Q5. Barely visible above it, you'll see USCG, US Coast Guard. So what we have is a pattern 1944-Q5 US Coast Guard approved rope knife. The Coast Guard referred to this knife as the number 425. The order from Camillus for Q5 was placed on November 22nd, 1943. The barely visible four-line Camillus stamp on the tang was used from the 1930s to the mid-1940s. So we got an authentic World War II era Camillus rope knife, stamped, approved, U.S. Coast Guard. Now, although approved by the U.S. Coast Guard, there really isn't any evidence that they were formally issued to service members. However, there are a lot of accounts of it being used by service members during the war. It has hardwood scales, which is what attracted me to it first, steel bolsters and bail, brass lining, which we'll find the brass lining in there somewhere after cleanup, and a carbon steel blade. I want to preserve this knife as much as possible, so I'm not going to do a tear down. I even want to have the original pins in the knife. I don't want to risk damaging the wood or anything like that to tear it down. So I'll do my best to clean it while it's fully assembled. So sit back and enjoy the journey as we show respect to the men and women of this era and preserve this piece of history. Starting to see some improvement. Using the Dremel to knock off some of that heavier surface rust. Bail's coming out nice. Starting to see a little bit of the brass lining. I'm going to have to use probably some steel wool to get down in there. All right, let's keep going. That is a lot of steel wool and Scotch-Brite scrubbing to get that inside brass liner clean. But it's getting there. And we're going to try something. Took a Dremel buffing pad and sliced it in half. See if I can get that pad down in there a little bit to help buff that brass out. Let's give it a shot. All right, gang, here you go. The final result of the restoration/preservation of the 80-year-old World War II era Camillus U.S. Coast Guard approved rope knife. I really love how it came out. Still has some character in it. Not every single flaw has been removed, but that's what makes it special. Really, really fun to see the two different scale colors. There's no evidence that I can see. No pins removed. The wear on both scales is even. That the scales are two different colors. Two different types, two different pieces of wood. I think that's pretty cool. Brass came out super nice for the lining. The edge, nice and sharp. Let's get my fingerprints off of here. And want to say really appreciate everybody stopping by the garage, checking out this episode of the restoration of the knife. Look forward to seeing you on the next one.